Continuum 2025.5 now includes Matte Assist ML inside of Mocha Continuum, further boosting the functionality of Continuum's amazing pixel chooser tools, saving you time and giving you more creative freedom when working inside Continuum. So let's take a look at how the tool works, and then I'll show you some examples of how you can use it. Now, the example I'm going to use is this dancer. And what I'd like to do is use Continuum's audio visualizer effect, but I want the audio visualizer to be behind the talent. So this is perfect for Matte Assist ML. So what I'll do is just turn on audio visualizer, and it's asking me for an audio layer. So I'll just quickly do that just by selecting my audio layer inside the comp. And I'm just going to quickly apply a preset, clicking on FX editor, and I'll just grab something fairly simple, maybe something like that. Click apply. Okay, so there's my waveform. Come down to background and just choose source. All right, so looking good. Very nice. I just want that to be behind him. So quick as a flash, all I have to do is click on Mocha Mask. Inside of Mocha Continuum, come up to this tool here. This is the Create New Mask ML Layer tool. Click on that. And I can choose any frame to start with, but I'm just going to come back to the beginning. And I'm going to click on his head. It's always good to click on the head first when you're working with a human body. And then all you have to do is come down maybe to the leg, and that's it, ready to go. So come up and choose the pick tool to set that first spline. Now in the Essentials panel here, I can come over and click on Mask, and I'm going to render forwards. If I was on a frame other than frame 0, I would press this button here, and that will automatically render forwards and backwards, but I can just render forwards. And that'll probably take about a minute. This is 250 frames at 4K. I did a test before and it took about a minute to do. So I'll just pause for a moment and I'll be right back. Okay, so that's almost at the end now. And that did take about a minute. Okay, so I'm going to save that. And while I'm in here, what I'll do is I'll come up to the File menu and choose Export Project. And the reason I do this is because once I've saved my Matte Assist ML matte, I can use it again with other effects rather than having to redo it, recreate this for every effect. So I would just save that. You can see I've saved a lot of them here. Been doing a lot of work with Matte Assist ML. Just going to cancel that for now because I've already saved it and close that up. Save. And okay, that worked. So now it's playing inside of the matte, but I want to invert that. So what I can do is come up to my Pixel Chooser Mocha settings, twirl that open, and twirl open mask. And from here, I'm going to invert the mask. Very nice. So that's actually working. We are getting a bit of an edge here. And just keep in mind that this is Matte Assist ML. It's not going to give you perfect roto. If you need more precise roto, you'd use something like Boris FX's Silhouette product. But for this, and for 99.9% of the things that I do, this is perfect. I can fine tune this just by using dilation. So what I'll do is I'll just drop that down maybe to about, I don't know, -6 or 7. So that's dilated that. And I'm going to change that to high to give me slightly better dilation. And what I can also do is just slightly feather it to around the same value as the dilation. And now we get a kind of a sort of light wrap kind of effect. And obviously he's wearing a t-shirt, so there could be semi-transparent. So that's possible as well. But I think overall, for the speed of that and the result, it's pretty amazing. Now we're going to come back to this shot later because I've used about 8 or 9 other effects with this to finish off this shot for the kind of work that I do. But what I'd like to do now is show you some more common tasks that you might do with Continuum and how you can use Matte Assist ML to speed those up. And this first example is in a situation where you want to blur something in the frame, but you need to mask that out quickly. So I've got BCC plus blur here. So I'm going to turn that on. And there you go. The whiteboard is blurred. So how do we set that up? I'll click on Mocha Mask. And we've got 2 Matte Assist ML mattes here. We've got the man over here and the woman. And the thing to keep in mind here, if I just come over to the classic workspace. So with the woman selected, you can see that the blend mode is set to subtract. And also the man is set to subtract. But the whiteboard itself, the whiteboard matte, this red one, is set to add. And just very quickly, to set this up, the whiteboard detail was tracked. So a very quick planar track. And then the whiteboard matte was just quick to create. And then that was linked to the track. So you can see link to track, whiteboard track. So that's how that was done. And creating the man and the woman was done using Metassist ML and then set to subtract. And that leaves me with just this area, which is going to get blurred. So I'll close that, don't save, and there you go. Very quickly blur out parts of your shot that you don't want people to see. Now we can also take that a little further using Pixel Chooser. One of the amazing things about Continuum with Metassist ML is that you can enhance the Metassist ML matte with Pixel Chooser. So I might, for example, come down and choose gradient and choose circular. And there you go. So now I've got a circular gradient and I can position that anywhere I want. So I've got a secondary level masking, a secondary level matte, which is really handy. And I could also invert that if I only wanted to see something specific, say this pie chart. And I could animate that to, reveal parts of the board as the shot progressed. So it's super handy to have Metassist ML plus being able to enhance that with more of the Pixel Chooser features. And with Continuum's extensive range of color correction tools, Metassist ML comes in really handy. So let's take a look at a couple of examples of that. In this example, I've done some subtle color correction to the model's eyes and lips. So I've used BCC Plus Grade for this. So just take a look at the lips here. I'm going to turn this one on. And you can see, just enhance those lips just a little bit. Once again, using Metassist ML. I won't launch Mocha for this one, but let's take a look at the other one. This is for the eyes. Just turn that one off and turn that one on. And we've changed the eye color. And she does actually blink in this case. And you can see the matte is recognized. So let's just have a quick look at how that looks inside of Mocha. This is something I really like. So I've chosen this as my first frame. And I haven't actually set up any other keyframes, but the model does blink. And you can see Metassist ML recognizes that and does all the work for me, which is so good. And I mean, it's not a perfect matte, but once again, it's enough to be able to do this shot. Just close that and there we go. Let's take a look at another quick example. This one is, just turn the effects off. This one's using BCC Plus shadows and highlights. And you can see this is the actual raw shot. It's a beautiful shot, but it's a little dark. So just by using BCC Plus shadows and highlights, I'm able to, with Metassist ML, just increase the gamma in this area here, just to bring out a little bit more of the detail, but without affecting or blowing out this area here. Just like that. And we just, once again, go into Mocha and take a quick look. So there it is there. Once again, no other keyframes have been set for this. And it's doing the job nicely. I think also for this, I did use the gradient. You can see I've got gradient turned on. I just wanted to isolate the correction to this area here and not have this area so bright down the bottom corner. Let me just turn that off. You can see it's a little too bright, right? So if I just turn on that again, and you can see I can move this around and I can really focus in on the area that I want to adjust. So again, Metassist ML with Pixel Chooser's other features, just allowing me to fine tune where that effect is applied. And for this shot, I've just used a bit of BCC Plus Raise and a little of BCC Plus Haze just to give it a grade, and a bit of BCC Plus Looks just to finish that shot. Continuum is also really well known for its great keying tools, including PriMatte Studio. And PriMatte Studio also benefits from Metassist ML. Here's a typical green screen shot. You've got some tracking markers in the background, and usually you'd create a matte or a mask around the subject just to, garbage mask all of that out. And Metassist ML can help with that a lot. So under outside mask, if I just turn this on, I'm going to click on Mocha Mask and Track. And you can see there's my Metassist ML matte. And this is a much looser one. Just select that. And I'm going to come over to my Essentials, click on Mask, and we've got a dilation value in there. So that was set to 23. I didn't need to come really close to the edges of the talent, just enough to use this as a garbage mat. And that was really quick to do and just speeds up the keying process a little bit. And to finish off this shot, all I did on the background was just use BCC plus lens blur, BCC plus color link to link the color of the background to the color on the talent, and BCC stage light to add some light. So there's usually a tool for anything you need inside Continuum. Okay, and lastly, let's just go back to that first shot of the dancer, and I'll show you how I enhance that with a range of different Continuum effects. Now, I've used a lot of effects on this, and I'm going to go really fast just to give you a taste of it. But if you'd like me to break it down in any detail, please leave a comment. One thing I want to point out is that I actually moved the audio visualizer to a separate layer because I'm using that as a source with BCC plus color link to colorize the footage. But I have used, if you just notice, I have used the MetaSystem matte that I saved before, just to make sure that that doesn't sit in front of the talent. Okay, so let's take a look at the actual footage layer. So look at all the effects I've used. So much fun. I'm just spoiled for choice with Continuum. So first of all, I've used BCC plus day for night, just to darken down the shot. Okay, BCC plus color link, as I mentioned, and that colorizes the shot. If we just open that up, you can see that I've used the sample layer black solid 1, which is this one. So that's the sample layer that I'm grabbing the color from. And if I just do a quick sort of drag through here, what's happening is, because this is a bright audio waveform on black, the background is going to flash whenever this gets really, really bright. So it feels like the audio waveform is more in the scene because the background is flashing based on the audio waveform's brightness. That's why I did that. And for the next effects, charcoal sketch, displacement map, video glitch, damage TV, and super LED and particle illusion, I've actually used the same matte, okay? The same MetaSystem matte. So charcoal sketch gives us a take on me look, and displacement map and video glitch. Now we might not see that on that frame because video glitch only jumps in on a few frames here and there. You can see it in the final playback. Damage TV, giving it a damage TV look, super LED, and BCC plus particle illusion. So you can use it with particle illusion as well. Okay, that way I can have the particles playing around the talent, but not over the talent. Audio visualizer. So I've used the same audio visualizer, but this is using a different preset, and this one is playing inside the mat, so not inverted this time. So I've got 2 bites of the cherry with audio visualizer, one outside and one inside. And finally, without the MetaSystem L is BCC plus Harris shutter, just to give us that RGB separation. So with all of those effects, using MetaSystem L, I was able to create this look. And I'm more than happy to break that down in more detail. Just let me know. All right, so hopefully that's given you a good idea about how you can use MetaSystem L inside Continuum. To learn more or to download a free trial, visit borisfx.com.